nearly 1,000 points, Asian markets have jumped over 3%. Also, we are learning now European markets have gained over 1%, while India's stock markets have surged over 3%. This is a big update that's coming in at the moment. My colleague Sakshi Bajaj will also be joining us. Meanwhile, this comes as a big jump in the global markets amid reports of the US-China trade deal. Investors have cheered the deal and the US futures have spiked nearly 1,000 points. Also, we understand Asian markets have jumped over 3%. European markets have also gained. What we're learning now is that it's about 1% gain that the European markets have had amid reports of the US-China trade deal. Well, remember, US and China have brokered a deal and they've made substantial progress in the key trade talks that's been taking place between the two countries in Switzerland. US Treasury Secretary also described the discussions as productive and constructive, while China said that the talks that were held between the both sides were in depth and also candid in nature. And White House, remember, has called it a trade deal, a great trade deal, but also not given out further details. All right, my colleague Sakshi is now joining us on the broadcast here. She is getting us more on that. Well, big jump in the markets here, Sakshi. Take us through details. Sakshi, if you're able to hear my voice, there has been a big jump in the markets. Credit goes to the US-China trade deal. Take us through the details here, Sakshi. All right, I'm being told that Sakshi will be joining us in just a bit. There has been some problem with her line there, but this is what we're learning at this point in time. Professor Arun Kumar is also now joining us on the broadcast here. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to NDTV once again. How do you see this development, sir?
It's a good development because trade between China and the US, the two largest countries in the world and two largest traders, that will resume. At 125 and 145% duty, the trade had completely stopped. So, that would have moved the world economy towards a recession. Because if these two economies stop trading and stopped or reduce their production, then other economies will get affected. Also, there's a fear that China would have large surpluses, which it would try and sell to other countries, and that would have meant maybe dumping also. China was already discussing with Europe, with Southeast Asia, and even had offered to India that it could have special deals. Now that the US-China trade would resume, 10% duty is still there, but that's not like what it was, and therefore trade would resume. So that's a very positive thing, and that's why I think the stock markets have reacted very positively, because the fear of recession would decline now.
Yes, absolutely, sir. Also help us understand, what does it really mean for India, our markets here, our economy here?
So, the issue is that there was a huge uncertainty. This 90-day pause that was there, we didn't know what was coming at the end of 90 days. And we didn't know what were the concessions that India or other countries would have to give. But I think from the the tariffs that have been levied already, the US economy is already suffering. In the first quarter, it had already declined, even though that was not entirely due to tariffs, but the tariffs coming would have actually made it decline even further. So in other words, the world economy going into recession and the uncertainty, that's what was leading to decline in investments. And when investments decline, then the stock markets decline, the currencies, the financial market, they get into a turmoil, and that's not good for investment.
Yes.
So I think there's greater certainty for investment, and therefore better certainty about growth, and therefore better for the world economy as a whole.
But sir, initially we understand both sides have been quite adamant. Donald Trump has been quite adamant on imposing these tariffs, and China also, in a retaliatory move, imposed tariffs on US goods. It, of course, has been really important for the world economy here in question, as you've been saying. But why for both US and China also it was so necessary to break this stalemate?
You see, USA has been trying to curb China's growth. China has become a superpower. So, in various ways, the US has been trying to curb its growth. Like, for instance, on advanced technology, like on chips, etc., it had withdrawn its software people. It had withdrawn, the selling of the NVIDIA chips and other advanced chips to China. So China had to be stalled by the USA. But the USA realized that it's very heavily dependent on China. And that's why, even though it was levying 145% duty on Chinese goods, it had allowed electronic equipment to be imported from China because it couldn't get it from anywhere else. So I think that Mr. Trump learned very quickly that China not giving up. China was matching US tariffs by increasing its own tariffs. So the President Trump learned very quickly that the USA could not go down this path. And I think this is very important for the world because he also should realize that the path that he's chosen for the rest of the world is also not the path that's correct. Because even if he goes against India, EU, etc., and we also levy tariffs on American goods and so on, then the American economy will continue to suffer. So therefore, this lesson for the US coming
Yes.
from China is very important for the entire world because I think now President Trump will change his strategy towards the rest of the world also.
Well, absolutely. That is what is expected, sir. But let's really see how this really goes here. Thank you so much, Professor Arun Kumar, for joining us here on the broadcast and sharing all those details there. This is what we're learning at the moment. Of course, markets have seen a great jump because of reports of the US-China trade deal. However, we understand more details are awaited on that, but both sides have said that this deal between US and China would have big repercussions for the global economy, and that is what is expected in the coming days. All right, shifting our focus now to some news coming in from the world of cricket. After days of speculation, Indian cricket great Virat Kohli has confirmed his retirement from Test cricket with immediate effect in an emotional post on Instagram. After India Test captain Rohit Sharma confirmed his retirement from the longest format of the game, the report of Kohli communicating the same intent to the BCCI emerged, sending shockwaves across the cricketing spectrum. It was reported that the board was in talks with Kohli to make him change his mind, but it seems that the outcome was unsuccessful. Now, Virat Kohli also said that he had never imagined this journey. He said it's not easy, but it feels absolutely right. This is what we are learning now. My colleague Rika is also now joining us on the broadcast here. My colleague Sriram also with us on the broadcast to talk about Virat Kohli's departure from Test cricket and what impact it's going to have on Indian cricket. Rika, you've been covering cricket, you've been covering sports for a very long time now. What's your assessment? Was it expected or is it shocking for all?
Well, Kitty, since you broached the topic, yes, I have been lucky to cover the entire span of Virat Kohli as a Test cricketer, as an ODI cricketer, and a T20 cricketer. Well, it is surprising but not shocking, as one would say, because Virat Kohli has not been in a great run of form in Test cricket of late. At the peak of his career, his Test average hovered around 70. It was 68.75, but over the last few years, I would say over the last 2.5 years, the average has gone down to 32.56. Virat Kohli has been plagued by what the English press has been calling off-stumpitis, which means that he has been getting out by chasing the balls outside the off-stump. It is something that had plagued him during the last tour of England and even during the tour of Australia. Virat perhaps thought that another English tour will be difficult if his mind and body is not in sync, and perhaps thought it was the right time to call it quits, even though if he had played another series and scored another 770 runs, he would have been in that vaulted company of greats who have scored 10,000 runs in Test cricket, like Sunil Gavaskar, like Sachin Tendulkar, Kumara Sangakkara, Ricky Ponting, all of whom are Virat Kohli's heroes. He leaves, a great legacy, a great impact on Test cricket. In fact, from the time Virat Kohli became the Test captain, India really envisaged picking 20 wickets in both innings of the Test match. He created a bevy of Test fast bowlers who would give him that advantage as a captain, having picked 10 innings in each wicket, which is 20 innings in a test match. Virat Kohli really dominated test cricket between 2016 and 2019. He scored 30 test centuries, 31 were his half centuries, and of them, he converted 30 of them into test centuries, which in itself is a
Long career he's
phenomenal
had
record.
in the test format, and of course lot to his credit here. Gautam Gambhir also has reacted to Virat Kohli's test retirement, saying that we will miss you, cheeks. Atul Vasan, former Indian cricketer, also with us on the broadcast here. Mr. Vasan, not just Gautam Gambhir, I mean a lot of reactions of course coming in. Everybody is going to miss Virat Kohli on the field when it comes to test cricket. It's a big loss for Indian cricket. How do you see it?
I don't think so. It's a loss because he came, he thrilled us. He created this huge aura and legacy for Indian cricket because Sachin went and we got Virat. So we are so lucky to get these one in a generation players, one after the other. And I'm sure there's somebody lurking around the corner. But let's just look back and enjoy and what he delivered and what he gave to all of us. It was just not cricket, and I think we all know that Virat's total was bigger than the sum of his parts because he changed the context, how we actually consume the sport in India, and the sport where it is now, cricket stature in India is partly because of Virat, because one superstar, one a legend or one icon, takes the game forward, and that's what it was Kapil Dev winning the '83 World Cup, and now Virat. But just like a tinge of sadness that we could have seen one big send off like the Tendulkar,
Yes.
full, because when he just turned up to play for Delhi, even the Ranji Trophy game, the ground was full. So imagine this guy is a magnet, and that's why he brings, and this will be lost economically for world cricket, not just Indian cricket.
Absolutely. Rika also
Atul,
wants to come in, yes.
Atul, it's very interesting that you talked about Kohli being once in a generation player. You said Sachin went, we got Kohli. Once Kohli goes, who's the one you are going to be hooked to watch Test cricket?
I just hope that Test cricket was actually sustained by players like Kohli, and I think if we don't have players like him, and we keep on losing players, because the next generation, you can see that the low-hanging fruit. People are becoming famous, rich, playing T20 cricket, and not many people, or even talented players who've got that quality, not actually willing to go that extra yard, because that cap, the Test record, and all the players. If you ask, we judge players and we look back and we see what he has done in Test cricket, not in T20 or even one-day cricket. So I mean that is it. So we need to develop players who are made for Test cricket to ensure that Test cricket survives. But even sadly, players who are in that mode, like Pujaras and Hashim Amlas and all, they don't get picked for these franchise cricket and they lose out financially. So I think unless a system is made where players who got that quality are compensated by the boards, that they should not actually just yield to that easy money. I don't think so that Test cricket is going to survive too long.
Haven't answered my question. After Kohli, who next? That
Well,
once in a generation Indian
King is
player.
dead. Long live the king. You can't. I can take many names, but I don't think so that this will be repeated. Because the next phase of cricket worldwide is, Test cricket people will not be playing Test cricket for too long, and these records will stand forever.
Mr. Vasan, what many are also saying that Virat Kohli could have waited till the England series before retiring. That was what was being expected.
Why? Why? Because he's made up his mind. There are other issues also. There's life outside cricket also. He's got two young kids, and the kind of pressure on him, the kind of the timeline he has to devote to cricket. I'm sure that he decided that enough is enough, because even if 700 runs and reaches 10,000, he's not going to make Kohli a better player. We all know what he's delivered, and even that one more test series. But I think he would have added a lot of value in England because of the conditions and all that. And if just his presence, you were saying about his records and all, I think that was actually quite churlish to just say his average had dropped and all. But his just presence is actually worth more than what is delivered in
Right.
runs.
Well, Atul, Virat Kohli is one of the most loved cricketers across the world. The Australians love him. and think that he is one of their own. The way Virat Kohli retired from Test cricket, does it remind you of Gilchrist of 2008 when he just decided to retire after having played 96 tests on having dropped that catch of VVS Lakshman?
Not really. I think there are some players who just know when it is time. And there's a saying cliche in cricket. That retire when people ask why rather than when. And most cricketers, I mean, 90%, 95% of cricketers go ranting and raving, and they just are bitter because they just, when they leave the game. But some players decide that okay, they want to leave at the top when people really want them to play, and I think they are respected more. And why just Adam Gilchrist? In 96 test matches, even if you play 4 test matches, we remember Donald Bradman getting out on duck in the last inning. If you would have got
Right.
that run and 100 average, what was so special? Because but now 99.96 is better number.
But those 770 runs from 10,000 run club, Virat Kohli easily was one of those cricketers who could have entered that Hall of Greats. And everyone's saying that he had those 2 years or 3 years of cricket left in him. Would you say
So
then
you
it is
mean to tell me
India's
that
loss
now
not to
now,
have?
now he hasn't entered the Hall of Fame because of not getting 10,000?
Not in that club, Atul, for sure.
So what is so special about that club? Because he is in his own club, and people know that he was way above many players who got to 10,000. But what he changed the game, and I think that is more important than just those numbers.
Mhm. Now, in terms of Virat Kohli's legacy, what would you say is the biggest? Is it the way he has inculcated the culture of fitness, or the fact that he invested in bowlers who could take 20 wickets for India in Test matches, or that word that he used for Indian cricket, which was intent to win?
No, I think he just coincided with that Indian whole psyche, Indian culture. We were submissive for far too long. Then suddenly his aggressive persona, and you said he was most loved. He was most hated also. And I don't respect people who everybody loves, because that shows that you never stood up for something, and you got to
Hmm.
respect any person who's got enemies also, because you can see that he took stances, and I think his fitness dogma on the Indian cricket, and this just a superstar thing, and the value he brought through IPL also. But I'm sure board will miss out on a lot of endorsements and all, because just one guy can bring so many people to the stadium and to watch the television, and I think it'll be financial loss also across the board.
What about the English Cricket Board? Would they be mourning right now after this news?
I think they should get him on the commentary thing because he's moved to London anyway. So
Right, right. It was the British press who came up with this word for Virat Kohli and the ill that was plaguing him. They called it off stumpitis after he was getting out to chasing balls outside the off stump. Would you say that got into his psyche, off stumpitis?
not really. I don't think so, because he's the kind of player who actually played those shots from off stump onto the onside, because that was his class. But when you get beyond a certain age, you lose that fraction of a second. And I think if his kind of a game was all touch game, he was not very technical in the copybook style, but he was very natural. So I think if you're like that, it's very hard when you lose that fraction of a second. But in spite of that, he has had the quality to actually just fight through and grit through, and he showed us in glimpses that he's in spite of what he used to do with his own unique style, he can manage. And if we just rate him by the number of runs compared to what he was doing earlier, I think that'll be a disservice.
Atul, he has been rocking the run charts when it comes to IPL, and there perhaps would have been no doubts that Virat Kohli could have scored runs in England too. Uh, are we missing some story in between about Virat Kohli's retirement? Is it more than what really meets the eye?
Not really. I don't think so, because if it was a few months ago, when there were some issues, then I would have thought so. But now I'm sure it's more to do with his family life, his personal life, and he wants some, some space for other stuff to do, because I think cricket takes a lot of time, and Test cricket needs a lot of intense bandwidth. And I think at this point, he just wants to enjoy it and don't want to take that extra, that burden and headache of Test cricket.
Right. Thank you very much, Atul, for joining us at this hour and sharing your thoughts. With that, over to you, Kitty, for the rest of the news.
Thank you so much, Rika, and Atul Vasan for joining us here on the broadcast here and sharing all those inputs there. With that, it's time for a quick break. Yeah, more continues on the other side. Stay tuned.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shiv, only on NDTV 24/7.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shiv, only on NDTV 24/7.
the last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed
Prime Minister Modi chairs a high-level meeting with top government functionaries and all three services chiefs. This is after the first night of calm at the border after several days. Also, a key briefing of the government at 2:30. A big relief for flyers and a big step in return to normalcy after the India-Pakistan truce. All 32 airports that were closed in border states are open. The BJP says India sent a strong message with tough measures against Pakistan, striking at the heart of terror. The Congress has once again pushed for a special parliament session where Operation Sindoor can be discussed. Support grows for the trolled Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, who was the face of all the updates on Operation Sindoor. Viciously trolled online. His family also attacked. The BJP says absolutely shameful to undermine the Foreign Secretary. And a big relief for the stock markets across the world, and indeed markets as US and China have agreed to roll back their tariffs by 115% and stock markets rise. And it's the end of a cricketing era. Virat Kohli announces retirement from Test cricket after a legendary 14-year career. Says he's walking away with a heart full of gratitude. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gargi Raut. Let's get you all the latest updates. The Prime Minister today chaired a key security meeting with all top ministers there, as well as the services chief. The NSA too attended this meeting. This comes after a night of calm at the line of control and international border following the ceasefire that was announced between India and Pakistan. And today, so this high-level meeting, which took place for nearly an hour at the Prime Minister's residence. In a short while from now, at around 2:30, a key briefing will also take place by the government, and in which more details will be revealed. Now, this is after the first night of calm along the line of control and the international border, as many of those who are living along those areas have now started returning home, though there is a sense of caution as well. Authorities asking people to be cautious about unexploded shells that could be found in the area. So those checks are currently taking place, but Operation Sindoor, as the government said, was a massive success, striking at the heart of terror in Pakistan, indeed also at the air bases. Well, let's go across to Aishwarya, who's been tracking all these developments and the key meetings that have been taking place. It was nearly an hour-long meeting, Aishwarya, that took place at the Prime Minister's residence today, and at 2:30 we're expecting that briefing.
Well, that's right. A high-level meeting at Prime Minister's residence at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg was chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We've been told that this was a two-part meeting. Of course, the first meeting that we have got the visuals from the Prime Minister's residence. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Tri-Services Chief, NSA, CDS, all were the part of that meeting, and Prime Minister took the stock of the situation as far as the current developments alongside the line of control and international border is concerned, and how things are panning out as far as the Jammu and Kashmir region is concerned. Prime Minister was briefed about all of those developments. After that, a separate meeting for 15 minutes went on with NSA Ajit Doval and Air Force Chief. and Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well. And certainly it was updated to Prime Minister about how the things have went on. It was expected earlier as being announced by the Foreign Secretary that at 1200 hours on May 12th, there will be the DGMO level talks, but it had been delayed as of now. But, you know, at 2:30 p.m. is the time that the DGMO level officers would be briefing the media about the ongoing operations, how the de-escalations are going on. But remember, yesterday after the briefing done by the commanders of Army, Navy and Air Force, there was a press conference from the Pakistani side as well. And once again, as usual, there were some fake propaganda, the news which that they showcased was absolutely false. Fake narratives being paddled once again by the Pakistani army. The Indian Armed Forces have given every visual proof of how these strikes went on as far as the Indian Armed Forces are concerned. They have given evidences of their air bases being attacked, at what scale they have been attacked, and these were controlled and non-escalatory in nature. That's being very specifically being told yesterday as well, and today as well, you know, how things went on. Of course, the statement which came out from the Indian Armed Forces that with no hostilities on both the side, last night things went very normal. We have seen the situation in the Jammu and Kashmir region, Rajasthan, alongside with Punjab borders as well, that things are very calm, and all of these things had been briefed by you know, the top officials to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and all eyes now would be at 2:30 p.m. Briefing with the DGMO levels officers at National Media Center.
Right, and Aishwarya, do stay on with us. As you said, that briefing took place yesterday where we were told 100 terrorists in fact were killed and high-level targets, but now some more breaking news coming in, more revelations regarding India's strikes inside Pakistan, and now it has been revealed that the IF also hit Karachi. During Operation Sindoor, it was the Malir Cant in Karachi that was hit. Main Pak city, they hit by Indian forces. Now, yesterday, remember, Rajnath Singh, as well as the briefing that took place in the evening, talked about the strike at Rawalpindi, which is a big shock to Pakistan, to the fact that with such precise strikes were made deep inside, right next to Islamabad. But now this big revelation that the Indian Air Force also struck inside Karachi. This is the Malir Cant in Karachi that was hit. Now, if you remember, the night of the big strikes, where there was a certain amount of confusion also regarding where all Indian Air Force had struck, where our missiles had reached. Now, yesterday at the briefing, it was revealed about the air bases that were destroyed due to the precise missile strikes by India. But now this revelation, let's go across to Shiv Aroor, who has been tracking these developments. And Shiv, now the Indian Air Force confirming that during those strikes, Karachi was also hit, this base in Karachi was hit, this Cant area.
That is correct. This is a huge update that we're getting right now. Remember, this was mentioned by Air Marshal A.M. Bharti, the Director General of Air Operations, in his press briefing yesterday. But most people missed it because he only mentioned Malir Cantonment, but he didn't mention Karachi, where Malir Cantonment is. So, very few people actually put two and two together. Now we know for sure that the Malir Cantonment is in Karachi, and an air defense site was actually struck by missiles. This is a huge update because, Karachi is of enormous importance. It is one of Pakistan's biggest and most crucial cities. And the addition of Karachi to that list of bases and cities that were struck by Indian Air Force missiles fired from Indian Air Force fighter aircraft means that every major city practically in Pakistan in some way or the other was hit. Its military installations were hit. Lahore, Rawalpindi, Karachi, Faisalabad, and Sialkot. All of these are big cities, and now Karachi gets added to that list. Remember, Gargi, the reason why Karachi is also important is because the Navy yesterday said that it was completely primed and ready for a strike on Karachi. This would have been, assets on the coast, the harbour, energy installations, economic installations, the port itself, which the Navy confirmed they had targeting information about and were primed and ready to strike in the event of any escalation. But it looks like Karachi was already locked as far as a strike was concerned, and we can confirm now that the Malir camp that the Indian Air Force mentioned in yesterday's briefing was in Karachi. What damage has been caused over there is not clear yet, but an air defense installation at the Malir camp in Karachi appears to have been destroyed. That's what the Indian Air Force said on record. This is a very, very big update to that list.
That's right, Shiv. In fact, yesterday the big talk was the strike on the Noor Khan Air Base and in Rawalpindi.
That is correct. The Noor Khan base in Rawalpindi, the air defense installation at the Lahore airport, which was initially dismissed as some kind of Pakistan Army exercise, a radar facility in Sialkot, and now, the Malir Kant air defense installation in Karachi. With this and with more information coming out, I'm wondering whether we know everything about the airstrikes, Gargi, because frankly, this is, this adds not only a new dimension to the complexity and the reach of the Indian Air Force's targeting systems, but it also sort of broadens the map, expands the map to all parts of the country. Karachi is in the southern part of Pakistan, in the Sindh area. You've had the Bolari Air Base where, our missiles apparently struck very close to some nuclear installations. It looks like phase 3 of Operation Sindoor was an all-out escalation by India to really, really pin down the Pakistan military. And just from a psychological perspective, Malir cantonment in Karachi, Gargi, may be just another addition to what is already a very, very impressive list. But Karachi, remember, has a great deal of significance for India. It's a city and a harbour that was bombed by the Indian Navy during the 1971 war and therefore carries a huge amount of historic significance as well. It is the economic nerve centre of Pakistan. It's one of their largest ports as well. And therefore, for India's missiles to land in a cantonment installation in Karachi itself is a very big deal. Not to mention the fact that this was an air defense installation, Gargi, that was targeted, which means that the aerial and airborne air defense protection of a large city like Karachi may have actually been compromised in this strike.
That's right, Shiv. And during the briefing, it was also emphasized how there was no, civilian area that was ever targeted, how these were very precise strikes. And that is something that is really, is something I'm sure is going to be studied going forward, the kind of strikes that were conducted by India and the absolute precision and how, as you said, these various air bases, Rawalpindi, and now it's revealed that in Karachi also this strike taking place. And, maybe today at that briefing that we're expecting in around 15 minutes from now, we'll have more details regarding the strikes.
I agree with you. I think today's briefing, which starts in a few minutes from now, should have more visual information. Remember that we still haven't seen, 27 images as part of a very, very detailed presentation were put out yesterday, Gargi, establishing the damage inflicted by Indian missiles in Chaklala, in Murid, in Sakar, in Noor Khan, like you mentioned, the Chaklala base, Rafiki, and other places, Lahore, Sialkot, as well as the terror sites. But battle damage assessment is still awaited in some of the other bases which the Indian Air Force has acknowledged they hit, but those maps and satellite images haven't come yet for various reasons. They should be coming anytime. Sargodha also came quite late yesterday. It was an update. So we should be expecting more imagery, I'm guessing, at some point today. Skardu in the northern areas, the Malir cantonment in Karachi are two that come to mind. There could be some other battle damage imagery that will be shared as well.
As we've said, the fighting is now over. It's a ceasefire right now, but it is a battle of perception as well. And to see the manner in which all these, revelations are made, the way the DGMOs have spoken about the kind of operation that was carried out under Operation Sindoor. You're there in, Jammu and Kashmir. It's been the first night of calm, and one is hoping to really consolidate on this ceasefire and that this continues for the sake of, the local people also now returning home. But so Shiv, this is very interesting that now more and more, facts are being revealed about Operation Sindoor, even as though that hotline, is there, that, there will be communication at the DGMO level over the ceasefire and after the first night of calm that we've seen in several days.
You're absolutely right. Very interestingly, Gargi, I had a conversation with a contact of mine in the Air Force, and he said, if you're impressed by the amount of information that has been released in public in this press briefing, imagine the wealth of data and operational information there actually is with the Air Force pertaining to these historic strikes on all these places, which we now know also includes the Malir cantonment in Karachi. It's incredible to actually think about, how much data has actually been
talking
gleaned
about that,
in this
and
unprecedented attack.
You said this was something that most of us missed during the briefing yesterday. So let's just take a look at that key part where Air Marshal Bharti mentions this Malir cant.
Up to the task. In a measured and calibrated response, we've once again targeted his military installations, which included his SAM sites at Malir Camp. This also included his surveillance radar sites at Lahore and close to Gujranwala. These were suitably addressed, and thereafter his drone attacks continued even till morning, which we countered, and during the daytime there was some respite. Here I would like to bring out another aspect. What we found was that while the drone attacks were being launched from somewhere close to Lahore, enemy had allowed his civilian aircraft to also continue to fly out of Lahore. Not only his own aircraft, but international passenger aircraft, which is quite insensitive, and we had to exercise extreme caution, even at the cost of some tactical disadvantage, to ensure that there is no damage to any of the civilian aircraft.
All right, so there you have the Air Marshal's statement, which it seems, Shiv, you also missed it when they announced that 11 key Pakistani air bases were struck during that operation, and it's after that that the ceasefire was arrived at, and it's after that the Pakistan reached out, and the US says that they assisted in this entire exercise. But yes, so we struck such key cities, near such key cities, precise strikes at air bases, at only military installations at this cant in Karachi.
Gargi, to be very honest, I'm going to be studying the names of military cantonments in Pakistan to connect them with cities, so we, know exactly what has been struck. Because I think you're right. I share your sentiments right now about the fact that this is a target list that continues to keep expanding. I think at today's press briefing, Vishnu, our colleague, is going to be there, and I'm sure we'll try and get a question in on precisely the nature of the damage, that was inflicted on some of these key sites. Remember, striking military installations is one thing. Striking military installations in big cities that are key to, citywide defense, air defense. This was a surface-to-air missile site, or SAM site, as Air Marshal Bharti said, is a very, very hostile act, and it now makes sense. It's kind of dawning on everyone why
Shiv, as
Pakistan
you said,
sort of picked up the phone and asked for this ceasefire.
near nuclear command centers. I mean, Rawalpindi, etc., those strikes, and that's what today at the press conference the BJP just held. They said it's for the first time that you've gone into a nuclear country and managed to strike so many prime targets there, and this really was the turning point. And it's after this that the ceasefire was announced, and Pakistan reached out, and the ceasefire announcement came through.
Correct. There were at least 3 bases, Gargi, which you rightly mentioned, where Indian missiles struck very close to nuclear command elements. Either establishment command and control, or possibly even nuclear launch sites. These included Chaklala, like you said, in Rawalpindi, the Bholari base, which is towards the south, and also the Sargodha base. These 3 bases are known to be proximate to elements of the strategic command of Pakistan, which is basically their nuclear authority. And that is what really rang the alarm bells, because an intelligence alert had rung through the defense networks of Pakistan, suggesting that India would try and take out some nuclear elements as well. Not attack actual nuclear weapons facilities, but the command and control structure, which is very, very valuable to the Pakistan military. And that completely rattled and spooked them, and is said to be the tipping point, forcing them to, ask the United States to intervene. And as we've reported, the sequence of events after that is basically the US telling Pakistan, Gargi, to pick up the hotline that is established between the DGMOs and get on a conversation with your counterpart on the other side and come to some kind of an understanding to cease hostilities, because the US, in some ways, and not to make it too simplistic, was basically saying India is in full war mode right now. I don't think even we can call them off, so you had better pick up that phone and try and come to an understanding. And that's precisely what happened, Gargi.
All right, Shiv, thanks so much for joining us with that big breaking news, a strike in Karachi at that Cant area. And we're hoping for more, details of this at 2:30 during the briefing that will take place. We'll slip into a short break and return with more.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
More news that matters.
Big exclusive. Tulsi Gabbard gunned down by Pakistan-backed cowards.
When you interact with people on ground, you're able to reflect their sentiments much better.
More debates that shake the system. More exclusives you won't find anywhere else. Not just another prime time. It's a prime time that's unmissable.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives. and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. News Night, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Welcome back. It's been a night of calm in Jammu and Kashmir along the LOC and other border areas, and now an exclusive interview with the Chief Minister Omar Abdullah, who talks about how the economy of the Union Territory is now in tatters. There's no tourist, valley is empty, and also the immediate priority for the government is the return of the people and also helping them rebuild their homes.
This is your first interview after Pahalgam massacre. So where are we now after that incident and what we saw on the borders and here over the last 4-5 days?
Where are we? We are in a place where we didn't expect to be. We are in a place where there has been bloodshed, suffering, turmoil, upheaval. We are in a place where everything has changed, and yet in some ways nothing has changed.
Can you explain?
Everything has changed in as much as normally at this time we should have been full with tourists, booming economy, children should have been at school, airport should have been functioning with 50-60 flights a day, whereas the valley is empty, schools we've had to close, airport is closed, airspace is closed, and yet when I say nothing has changed, Pakistan has by design unfortunately again managed to internationalize the question of Jammu and Kashmir. The ceasefire, which until the last few days had held in spite of whatever other difficulties exist in the relations between India and Pakistan. Today that ceasefire has been in tatters. We await to see what happens tonight. So that's why I say so much has changed and then in some ways so little has changed.
But the fact is there's a larger question is that when that massacre happened, it changed everything when it comes to the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. Till that time we were saying militancy, separatism, everything is a thing of past.
Well, it changed once and for all, once again, the perception of Jammu and Kashmir, and it changed it for the worse. Jammu and Kashmir was a place where, like you said, tourism was bustling. And it wasn't just tourism in terms of numbers. It was also tourism in terms of value. You are seeing high spending tourists who did not mind spending even up to ₹1,00,000 a night for a hotel room. Today that part of our economy lies in tatters. Those who were actively engaged by hotels, restaurants, shops, they are sort of in the process of being disengaged. Then coupled with that, people had taken loans to buy taxis, to buy deluxe buses, to convert rooms into homestay, to convert smaller houses into guest houses or hotels. All of that now adds to sort of an economic pressure. These people will be knocking on the government doors for jobs that are already in short supply. So the long-term effects of what happened in Pahalgam, we will be counting for some time to come.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading